What's going on, y'all? This is Coach Mo, Henny Mo, Hen Dog Mo, Jamo, if you want to just call me Jamo. I am the host of the Trap or Die podcast, and we are here for another Trap or Die film session. We are breaking down the 2022 prospect, George Pickens, wide receiver out of University of Georgia. The 6'3", 195 prospect is intriguing, man. Has some juice to his name, and that 2019 season put his name on the map as a true freshman playing for the University of Georgia. And things took a turn from there, whether it's injuries or just some deficiencies in his game. Obviously, some of that skill set from the 2019 season was still on display as he continued to push on through the next couple of seasons at the University of Georgia. But we're going to get into some of the nuances of his game, see where his strengths is, see where his weaknesses are, and go from there, man. So I'm excited to get this thing going. Let's go ahead and break down some George Pickens right now. What's going on, y'all? This is Mo, your host of the Trap or Die podcast, and I'm just here to tell you, man, while you're here, if you're new, make sure you hit that like button, make sure you hit that subscribe button, make sure you follow us, man, as we continue to push out this content and create some things for the Washington Commanders and the NFL, man, but mainly the Commanders. This is a Washington channel. I want everybody to be involved. I want everybody to catch these live streams weekly. I want everybody to be a part of this growth that we got going on over here, man. So if you're here, if you're new, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you stay tuned, man, for much more content, fire content, and as we keep things pushing, man. So yeah, get to it. We appreciate it. All that good stuff. Peace. All right, y'all. So we're gonna go ahead and get into what makes him a very good prospect right off the bat. And this is his ability at the catch point. There are a couple of receivers out here who does things like this. Obviously, Drake London being one of the other ones, the notable guys in terms of a first-round prospect. But George Pickens' ability at the catch point makes him a viable target for a lot of receivers. I mean, for a lot of coaches and teams, and the things that he can do with his body, right? So let's go ahead and back this thing up just a little bit, and you can kind of see again what makes him good with this thing. So he's facing a soft press. It's soft press on both sides. In the cover one situation, and the middle safety, who should be aware in a 3x1 that you may need to give some. Well, I guess he was doing a decent job, giving some help on the 3x1 situation, and with the flow of the offense going to the right with a fake screen, a fake bubble screen. It was always intended for George Pickens to make a play, and in the soft press situation, George Pickens doesn't have the best separation ability in terms of his foot speed in this instance, or even giving a defender a move or anything like that. It's just a straight speed release to the outside, and you're getting the ball in a one-on-one situation. And while he creates separation at the top of the route, just being able to track the ball and having that end of the route, like the end of the line speed, being able to separate quickly and subtly. He has the pass right here before he has to dive for it, right? But diving for it helps him dive specifically because the defender can't make a play on the ball, but also in order to secure the pass and maintain possession, you'll kind of notice this in the other ones as well. But he does this thing well of like trying to protect the ball with his back on the ground, like on contact. It helps him secure the pass. So that's again one of the things that we're going to continue with two more plays that kind of showcases this example. That kind of makes him really good. Another example here is similar to what you saw in the Auburn game. Alabama this time is actually facing this is actually a 2021 season as well, obviously, right? But Alabama is facing Georgia in the national championship game, but this time Pickens is aligned on the boundary again, but facing what can seem to be an aggressive corner. But at the snap, he's playing a little soft. He's not necessarily looking to get contact on the defender, and he's kind of expecting some inside help in a sense based on his technique. He's trying to funnel him to the inside, right? But what Pickens does well when the cornerback realizes he doesn't have that much help is his separation point right here. If you look at Pickens at the bottom of the screen, you see that Pickens slightly extends with a slight push off at the top, at the break point, running a skinny post to create that subtle separation. and you get about 4 yards at his largest point. But then at the catch point, you see that kind of, again, what makes him stand out as a prospect is these highlight reel catches. And this is what's very impressive in this moment right here. Let's rewind it back. Right there's a fingertip catches with both hands. But at the same time, as he dives for it, that split second, you see him reel the ball in and roll back to secure the pass. That's what Pickens does downfield to help him secure the possession, but also keep the defender from making any contact on the ball or potentially breaking it up at the catch point. So that's just what makes him stand out. Another situation here against the Cincinnati Bearcats in 2020, you're facing, again, what seems to be an aggressive press look situation, and the cornerback ends up blitzing. He's doing a cornerback blitz from the boundary, and it's up to Pickens to kind of adjust to that situation and who his new coverage scheme is going to be, who his new matchup is going to be. So we'll let this play out, and you see the acceleration to close that gap between him and that safety. Get that separation, dive for the pass. Now it's a little grainy, you can't really see the tail end of it clearly, but this will kind of help you out. This angle right here, again, dives forward, turns that shoulder to try to save the possession upon contact. But what makes him really good is what he did before the catch. So again, we talked about how that cornerback was blitzing, so he has to adjust. He has to find out who his new defender is going to be, and he's processing this all in the moment's time. I'm explaining it to you, but at the same time, he's thinking 10 times quicker than I'm explaining it to you. He gets the outside release, thinking that he's facing a press cover, but he's just blitzing. So now he identifies his new man right here, knowing that he's running a skinny post. How does he manipulate this safety that's pressing him or that's coming up to check him? First off, the safety is already uber aggressive, and he's come down too far as Pickens is accelerating into his stem. And at this moment right here is a subtle but insightful glimpse into his mental processing. George Pickens decides to, well, if he's going to be this aggressive, I'm going to break my stem, or let the defender think I'm breaking my stem a little flatter into a post route versus running a skinny post. So what does he do? Let's rewind it once more. So he attacks that inside hip. This is what him attacking that inside hip. The defender is running with him, thinking that he's running that skinny post, but he's not. At this moment, now he's working the blind spot of the defender. So the minute that the defender turns around, the defender is lost. First off, because he's too aggressive, and then, George Pickens knows that. So as you see, everything is made before the ball is even thrown to him. He finds his way to get open downfield in terms of separation and manipulating through mental processing. It's pretty good to see. And let's go ahead and get to, also, by the way, one more thing. This is actually really good balance as well, because he comes out of his cleat. I don't think you'll be able to see it, so I'm not going to rewind it once more. Let's get to the next clip. But again, the things that make him great or a very good prospect is because of his ability at the catch point, the highlight reel catches, leaving his feet, jumping for passes, diving for passes, any way to secure the ball. This is what he does. And then another situation, note that these are coverages where I say soft pressed. He's having free releases and things like that kind of helps him. This is another situation where he's facing soft press. There is not that much aggression in this type of defense that he's playing against. So he has a clean release at the line of scrimmage. On the field side, the boundary side would be where the numbers are showing at the top of the screen. This time he's on the field side, so he has a little bit more room to operate. So he starts his release. He's running a hitch route, but he starts his release on the outside. And at this moment, as you're starting your release on the outside, you have enough time and space to work your defender and open up his hips, thinking that you can run a go. Because when you're on the field side, with that amount of opportunity and that amount of space, you can work the closer to the sideline. You can work a fly route, a fade, a comeback, a post, all of those different type of routes. So the cornerback has to keep that in mind, because there are a lot of things that you can run in this instance. So when he starts his outside release, he's stretching the DB vertically. He's able to get his hips open in this moment that we're pausing, and he's able to press up vertically immediately. So then in the moment that he presses up vertically, he accelerates. And in that moment of acceleration, the defender turns his back thinking that it's a go route. But it's not a go route. It's a hitch. So he works that blind spot, and immediately, where are you at? That's 7 yards of separation right here at his largest point. And if I'm off with my math, correct me. I ain't the best math guy, right? But that's about 7 yards of separation right here. So now you're getting the ball at the catch point, but he's not done yet. And it's another aspect of his game that makes him well, is the ball after the catch. The yards after the catch is him being able to manipulate defenders in terms of his elusivity. And his favorite one right here is clearly the spin move. He's trying to get extra yards. That's kind of the things that you don't get with some of the best receivers. And I'll dive into it specifically with Chris Olave, if Washington was to draft him. Some of the things that stands out between Garrett Wilson, Drake London, and obviously George Pickens in this instance are receivers who are trying to score, who are trying to make plays and gain additional yards, versus defenders or receivers who aren't necessarily focused on the yards after the catch. They're just worried about getting open downfield. So again, you see, let's run this in its totality. Here we go. That's a release situation. That is a separation quickness situation. He utilized very good agility, very good initial quickness, acceleration, change of direction in this moment on this hitch, and then obviously has the good hands extended beyond his frame, and being able to turn around and get upfield, showcasing some good yak. Somewhat similar to the hitch route previously is another hitch route example, stretching his defender, widening his defender out, starting at the snap. He gets the outside release, and the defender bites for the outside, but funnels him inside. But it works for Pickens because he's running the hitch. So with that subtle glimpse of acceleration, as he presses vertically, is what threatens the defender. He's already about to get into his horse, get on his horse and go downfield and match the speed with Pickens. But Pickens is settling down and getting ready for a hitch. The ball is out at this point, or maybe he's sacked. I wasn't paying attention per se. Oh, there it go right here. I wasn't paying attention to the quarterback in this instance, but he was sacked. However, the receiver and Pickens and the cornerback with Cincinnati, they don't have an idea that the quarterback is sacked. So in this instance, if Pickens was the target, it was a completion. Who knows what he was able to do after the catch. Another instance of Pickens' ability is, this is 2020 against Alabama. His agility, his initial quickness, his ability to maneuver, but also some mental processing, having the awareness to sit and understand this is a zone coverage concept from the Alabama Crimson Tide. Sitting right in the middle of the field, right there. Let's go ahead and rewind this thing back. So his ability to maneuver in traffic, the defenders in the middle of the field, is showcased here primarily. The ball is out as he turns around, but he doesn't know that, but he's able to find that void in the defense. So initially avoiding the defender getting out into his zone. The first one, then the second one, all leg left plants, able to turn around and find that open void. So there's some agility that kind of stands out when he runs his routes. Again, 2020, because we're going to get into the weaknesses and potential concerns for George Pickens, right? And that's encouraging that it was there at one point, and it may still be there. But let's go ahead and get to the next one. The next play, it's a corner route, facing a squat defender. The squat defender is right above the defensive tackle, or the defensive end, excuse me. So to his left, number 32, I believe that is, either 32 or 22. And let's see how he plays this. And that subtle yak ability, that mindset to get additional yards at the catch point is important. So again, facing a squat defender, somebody who's off the ball about anywhere between like 2 to 10 yards or something like that. He's just waiting for any inside receiver, and he's going to make contact with him. So at this point, the defender is successful in getting contact. And Pickens showed some quick feet at this point. And some play strength, I would say, is pretty good in this instance. Some good play strength to shed the defender. And obviously, you can see him somewhat in a man cover situation at this point, too. Shed the defender, get upfield and accelerate. But also, he has some good body control, balance, and obviously some good change of direction in this instance to turn his head around. And then the feet follow. He's able to maintain a good line towards the corner, towards the sideline, has his head turned around and creates about 4 or 5 yards of separation in this moment. Good adjustment to the sideline, understanding that he has to get his feet in before anything. Good body control, turning around and maintaining some balance, and have the wherewithal to get 2 to 3 yards upfield before going out of bounds. As we go through the weaknesses, which we're about to get into right now, understand where he was getting his releases. So I kind of made mention of those as we broke down, like the few plays that makes him stand out and what made him a good prospect, right? He's really not facing many defenders up front, and up close and personal. They're not in his kitchen in a sense, right? So as we get into the weaknesses, let's go ahead and transition to that now. You'll understand the nuances and what makes a receiver a complete receiver. All right, so here we are. In that same game against Alabama, he's facing a more aggressive situation, a more aggressive cornerback. And let's go ahead and dive into the play. You'll kind of see the situation that he's up against. First and foremost, this is a screen to the receiver, to the running back, excuse me. But you saw it in the instance right here. This is an example of his competitive toughness. First, allowed himself to get jammed. He knows his target is not the receiver. Not the cornerback, but it's the safety. But he allows himself to get jammed. Struggles to get off the line in that instance. Completely gets his route disrupted if he was running a route. And as he gets downfield, knocked on his butt. Now, I think that's important to showcase, because as you talk about Pickens and you talk about some of the things that he does to cornerbacks, whether it's in the run game or him fighting on the sidelines, which is just completely stupid, he gets praised for these instances, right? But how are you in situations where it's one-on-one, where there are no surprises? You don't have an upper hand in terms of surprising your defender. It's, I'm going to make this block. It's, I'm going to make sure I spring my guy free. Or it's, I'm going to get off the jam. I'm going to get off this press, because you know what you're doing. I know what I'm doing. And when it comes to competitive toughness, you have to dive deep into those things. And while you see highlights of a person doing something well or doing something good or strong, as people would like to say it, that's not always the case. And it's not always a proper evaluation of what somebody is to a team or what somebody is as a player. I don't think George Pickens doing things after the play, or George Pickens generating power or shoves in instances where the defender is playing coverage, I don't think that is someone who is an extreme competitor. I think it's somebody who, is taking advantage of an opportunity, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But you have to define what a competitor is. He's not winning in true one-on-one situations. He's winning when he has an advantage. Let's go ahead and get to the next play. soft press. Actually, I take that back. I'm sorry. This is more an aggressive look situation. This is more of a press in your face situation, and you'll see the importance of why it's on the film. Now the play is thrown out of bounds and the play is over, but it's mainly because the defender has really good coverage here, right? But what could Pickens have done to become a winner in this situation? Pickens first allows the defender to get his hands on there, but as he tries to swim and avoid the contact, the defender is able to latch on and stay on him and ride him towards the sideline, eliminating his line. When we talk about lines, it's important to understand that if you're going vertical, even if you're doing a comeback, a deep curl or anything like that, especially when you're on the boundary side, you have a line to maintain, and that line is mainly where those numbers are, where Pickens is at, and the actual sideline. You have to have that space, because if you do not have that space for your receiver and quarterback, you're unable, or I wouldn't say unable, but the throw becomes much more difficult. It's easier for the cornerback to drive the receiver to the sideline. In the instances in which George Pickens is playing the aggressive press cornerback and is on the boundary, you are seeing instances where his play strength is not ideal. It is not good. It's below average. And he's unable to shake those press defenders who are able to maintain contact with him. He gets driven towards the sideline. Another situation, boundary side, not the field side. He's facing a soft press look, but this press cornerback is trying to get hands on him. Successful again. And think about the red line. First off, the cornerback is not threatened at all. He's running with him stride for stride. Pickens doesn't really have the leverage that you would like him to have. He doesn't have the foot speed to really separate. But then driven to the sideline because he's unable to shake him. So not an ideal thing for Pickens, not an ideal thing for a receiver who needs to start at the next level. You do not want to get taken off your line. You do not want to get driven to the sideline. You want to be able to decrease or eliminate that contact, get upfield, get your stem together, get back on your line, or get as close to your line as possible and create an opportunity for your quarterback. Next play, another situation, we'll let it run through, but you kind of see the importance of this thing right here. Completely driven to the sideline on a curl. And remember, it's anything vertical, curl, come back to as well. You need to find a way to maintain your line. And if you're getting eaten up and driven to the sideline, that is not good. Number 2 had himself a good day when it comes to press situations, being able to maintain contact or disrupt Pickens' route. And as you see with this one, he actually threw it or tried to throw a Pickens' way. He had to throw it away. Now, this is a situation of change of direction. I'm not, like, I give credit where credit is due, and Pickens did an excellent job in some instances with his change of direction and the strengths part, right? When you're talking about breaking in routes and consistently playing well on breaking in routes, it's not as sharp as you want it to be. And there you go. There's one example. We're going to get into a couple more examples. This is 2020 tape against Tennessee, excuse me. Good Lord. But free release off the line, cornerback is blitzing. No acceleration to really threaten the defender. No explosion at the break point. Kind of sloppy in his corner post route. Unable to really set the defender up or threaten the defender. He's able to play this whole way through. And there you go. In this situation, there's a 3rd and 6 for Georgia against Alabama, and the cornerback is just playing sticks. It's as simple as that. He's playing sticks. He's taking away anything from the inside, on the inside for George Pickens, and he's exploding or committing to anything breaking out or anything going vertically, but he is not allowing Pickens to go inside. And what does Pickens have to run? He has to run a breaking in route. And the issue with Pickens in this moment is the lack of creativity at the break point, rushing his route, turning his head in the moment before his feet is with him. He's leaving his feet behind. And one of the instances or important things when you're at the next level, especially when somebody has the leverage, is how do you win that battle? How can you manipulate somebody? And mental processing is one of the ways to manipulate. How do you attack the hips? How do you do anything with your head? How do you sell a route? How do you sell something that helps you get open if you know you have an in route and that defender is doing inside leverage? And for Pickens in this moment, unfortunately, he rushes his route. His BAM step isn't necessarily impressive, and his BAM step is things that you do when you're running your slants or you're breaking ins or single moves like that where you have to just get inside. It's not that effective, and he needs some technical work, some technical improvement in this regard. And as you see at the end, the cornerback is completely covering him, and would have completely covered him if he continued on his in route working towards the quarterback. Another situation with his breaking in. This is 2022 year, 2021 national championship. Let's run it back if you missed it. Facing an inside leverage press defender who fakes, plays a little head game with him, fakes the jam just to try to mentally slow him up. Let's go ahead and see how effective it was. And it wasn't that effective. However, at the break point, what you're not seeing is explosion in this instance, and I'll run it through. I'm sorry. What you're not seeing is explosion. You're not seeing play strength to separate. It's not a pro. It's probably marginal. It's a minimal display in this instance to really do anything at the top of the route and create that separation. You got to remember too the years. For those who are unfamiliar with George Pickens, he dealt with an ACL injury in that season after 2020, heading into his 2021 year. He got hurt in March of 2021, was available for the Georgia Bulldogs in December of 2021. And you have to look into these things and see what is an impact, what is the aftermath of a person returning from that ACL injury. And what you're not seeing here is that explosion, and you're not seeing much of an effort in a sense as he's breaking in. Another situation, same season, 2021. This is the semifinals of the playoffs. I'll just let it run and you can see exactly what's going on here. So let's go ahead and run that back one time. But you see not that much acceleration off the line, not that much explosion. Change of direction is minimal. Taking a few extra steps to get into his break. While he was open, it was his own coverage, so he played it pretty well in terms of filling out the space and understanding that out route from his tight end on his left is going to take the defender out. So he'll have that availability, that void in the middle of the defense. And there you go. Soft press situation, breaking in on a slant. Now, he caught the ball, right? But that's not what we're focusing on right now. We're talking about your breaking in, your change of direction, your ability to work the middle of the field, being a good route runner on your breaking in routes. Has a decent swim move to clear his defender, and obviously good at the catch point. That's what he does well, so that's natural to him. You don't lose that. Now, as we wrap up the film session on Pickens, I think when we talk about the 2021 film, the 2020, all those other things, the previous seasons, one of the things that he is doing well right now are his speed releases, his full speed routes, because it doesn't really require him to think about changing direction. It doesn't really require him to think about planning with explosion or anything like that. You just got to accelerate and get into your high horse, get into your next gear, right? And this is what you're going to see on this play, because again, this is 2022 George Pickens. This is not the 2019 version that you're seeing. soft press, outside release, and he just gets to get upfield. Note that shove at the end. I know you saw it. Note that shove at the end. Again, this was a run play. And remember what I said earlier about how he performs when he has the upper hand. The defender is playing the receiver in man coverage. Get the little shove in the end because I don't like you and I want you off me. Again, another situation. Gets upfield, gets into a score. So he's not changing direction. He's just going straight upfield. Let's try it one more time. Gets into his gear. Now he does get the jam as soon as he gets off the line as well. So we talked about the jam being able to get off that situation when you face an aggressive corner, but they're in a zone situation. So he just has to accelerate and get upfield. He has no problem doing that and had no problem doing that in 2022. When a prospect breaks out to the degree in which Pickens did as a freshman in 19, there's a ton of juice that will follow them throughout their collegiate career, regardless of how the rest of their career panned out at whichever university. The intrigue that follows certain athletes is what happening with Pickens right now. There's been a decrease in yards, receptions, and touchdowns after his freshman year. He suffered 2 notable injuries in 2020 and 2021, which impacted his numbers. However, his play on the field also decreased his opportunities to see the football as well. So what's the best case scenario for Pickens on the next level? I mean, Pickens is an exciting prospect for a vertical offense because of his highlight reel finishes at the catch point, leaving his feet and diving down for catches, showcasing good competitive toughness in that area of his game. Ultimately, I think that Pickens can be a starting X receiver for a team. However, he'll need to come off the bench as he translates to the NFL. Pickens' receiver coach as well in the NFL will need to take time to develop him as a more technical receiver that will make him a more versatile threat on the short area and intermediate area of the field, specifically on those breaking in routes, digs, slants, all of those type of concepts that'll help him become a more defined X receiver on the next level.